A duel against the top prodigy of a famous family, everyone expects him to get crushed, but instead, he completely humiliates her. The girl unleashes her strongest techniques one after another, trying everything she has just to land a single hit on him. But Leo casually dodges every attack like she's moving in slow motion, and then with just one strike, he sends her flying across the arena. She crashes to the ground in shock, unable to understand what just happened. How could this random boy overpower her so easily? But Leo only looks down at her and calmly says, "Kids these days are way too weak." Then he tosses her one of the weight bracelet he'd been wearing during the entire fight. The moment she tries to catch it, her arms instantly give out. Even using both hands, she can't hold its insane weight and collapses miserably onto the ground. That's the true difference between their strength. At that moment, the girl finally realizes something terrifying. From the very beginning, she never stood a chance against him. But the real question is, who exactly is this monster? Well, Leo Plov isn't an ordinary boy. He's actually a reincarnated legendary hero from 5,000 years ago. The man who once saved humanity, alongside the greatest party of heroes in history. He wakes up as a baby while his mother reads him a story of heroes who once saved the world. But to our boy's shock, his past name, Kale, is nowhere to be mentioned, which instantly enrages him. He can't understand how someone like him could be erased from history, so he decides to uncover the truth. As time passes, he enters a royal school for heroes that prepares children before they join the Magic Academy. But the lessons bore him to death, and everyone around him feels painfully weak. Only when he finally returns home does his real training begin. Just as he steps outside, he's ambushed by a woman who charges at him with the force of a runaway train. Leo, though startled, manages to block her strike with his blade. It's clear from their interaction that this isn't the first time these two have crossed swords. They have a shared history, one where such exchanges are far from uncommon. The lady is looking forward to sparring with him after so long, and declares that this match to be his final test before she grants him permission to attend Lumine Academy. As it turns out, this formidable woman is none other than his mother. In an instant, she lunges at him again, and their swords clash once again. While Leo is already struggling to keep up, his mother casually remarks that she hasn't even used a fraction of her full strength. Blow after blow, the spar continues, each strike more intense than the last. Eventually, however, Leo turns the tide. His sheer skill and mastery of swordsmanship allow him to overpower his mother, forcing her to surrender. The woman is left in awe of her son's talent and growth. She stands up and, in a softer tone, asks why he's so determined to attend Lumine Academy. Before the story moves forward, a little context about the academy is necessary. Lumine Academy, the Human Hero Academy, is one of the 4 prestigious institutions of the races that house the hero record. Among them, Leo strongly suspects Lumine Academy is the most likely place to uncover remnants of his past life as Hero Kyle. With such a compelling reason, it's no surprise that Leo is unwavering in his determination to join the academy. Leo's mother then reminds him that the members of the Zerdinger clan are currently visiting Daylon, and they will be staying at the Plov mansion. Though she personally isn't thrilled about having them in their home, she has a request to make. She intends to speak with Zeiss, the vice patriarch of the Zerdinger clan, hoping that he might be willing to teach Leo the Zerdinger aura technique. She believes that with the technique, Leo will become strong enough to be admitted to Lumine Academy next year. However, what she doesn't know is that her son is determined to be admitted this year. He has no patience to wait another whole year to achieve his goals. Sometime later, we find ourselves at the Plov mansion, where Celia Zerdinger is being escorted into the grounds. As soon as she steps out of the carriage, she can't help but wonder why her uncle chose to stay in a place like this when he could have easily rented an entire hotel for himself. As we know already, she is Celia Zerdinger, 15 years old, a sword princess hailing from the Zerdinger clan. Her primary focus is on the Lumine entrance exam, and she's skeptical about how a small family like the Plovs could possibly help her prepare for it. At that moment, Celia's uncle calls out to her. He is none other than Zeiss Zerdinger, the vice patriarch of the Zerdinger clan. He teasingly asks if she isn't at least a little curious to meet Leo, the very boy who boldly declared he wasn't interested in the Zerdinger clan. Celia remains nonchalant and remarks that if Leo is just a hopeful knight who can't even use aura yet, then, in her opinion, he's probably not all that impressive. Zeiss, however, doesn't share her sentiment. On the contrary, he seems quite optimistic about Leo's potential. Once they enter the mansion, Zeiss steps forward to greet the heads of the Plov household. He exchanges respectful words with Dade Plov, the patriarch, and Reyna Plov, his wife. Both hosts graciously return the gesture, welcoming the Zerdingers to their home with equal honor. Zeiss then formally introduces Celia to Reyna and Dade. The young lady promptly reciprocates their hospitality with a courteous introduction of her own. She expresses her gratitude for being hosted in their home. Reyna steps forward and takes a moment to observe Celia. She notes that Celia closely resembles her father and uncle, both in appearance and behavior. Celia, in turn, takes note of Reyna's striking black hair and red eyes. It doesn't take long for her to realize that Reyna is part of the Zerdinger family, which also makes her Celia's aunt. Later, Zeiss and Reyna, who share the bond of being brother and sister, sit back and begin catching up. During their conversation, Zeiss mentions their recent visit to the Royal School of Delan, where they had hoped to catch a glimpse of Leo. However, they were disappointed to find that he had already left the school as he was uninterested in meeting anyone on behalf of her son, acknowledging that his behavior may have seemed disrespectful. Zeiss then curiously questions his sister about Leo, asking what kind of person he is. Reyna speaks highly of him, claiming that Leo is unbelievably talented. Her response prompts Zeiss to question whether Leo is truly worthy to inherit the Zerdinger flames. Reyna's praise of her son continues, but she makes it clear that she's not simply speaking as a proud mother. Leo genuinely has the talent and potential to be worthy of the Zerdinger legacy. Zeiss is quite intrigued to hear this. While he trusts her judgment, he feels compelled to test Leo himself before forming a final opinion. Later, we meet Leo sitting quietly, trying to concentrate. After finishing his little ritual, he declares to himself that he has finally achieved a vessel capable of holding everything he needs. Leo reflects on why he hadn't yet learned aura until now. The truth lies in the unique nature of his body. Accepting aura too early would cause it to naturally adapt and specialize in alignment with the aura. This would limit his ability to accumulate mana and soul energy, two essential components of his long-term plan. In his past life, he had witnessed the danger of uncontrolled power. If he had fully harnessed the abilities and essence of his fallen comrades, he wouldn't have left behind a seedling of disaster. To avoid repeating history, Leo is determined to achieve perfect control in this life. So, the first step in his journey is mastering aura, but he intends to do so on his own terms. Before he can delve further into his thoughts, a familiar voice calls out to him, pulling his attention away. As he turns over, he spots Celia Zerdinger. With a confident smirk, she comments on how he finally seems to have grasped the basics of training. While her words carry a hint of sarcasm, she goes on to offer him guidance in swordsmanship, if he's up for the challenge. Meanwhile, our boy has no idea who the hell she is, so she introduces herself as Celia Zerdinger, the world-class sword princess, if she has to be specific. With the introductions out of the way, Leo gets straight to the point. Although he's feeling quite honored that she thought about him, he has no intention of receiving any guidance from someone he considers less skilled than himself. Needless to say, the girl's annoyed to hear this because his remark comes off like he's trying to suggest that he's stronger than her, to which Leo clarifies that in a death match, she's probably stronger, since he can't use aura himself. However, sparring with only swordsmanship is a whole different game, and he's certain he can handle her like it's no big deal. Celia feels challenged by his statement, so she looks around and grabs one of the swords from the plethora available. She wants to prove that what he has is nothing more than misplaced confidence, and she plans to do that by defeating him in a duel. In her mind, even if Leo learns aura, there's no way he could possibly defeat her. She just wants to teach him a harsh lesson in reality. She further claims that if she wins during her week-long stay here, he will become her servant. Leo isn't fazed at all by the term she's thrown at him, and in response, he asks what if he wins. To make things fair, she throws back that if he wins, she'll become his servant instead. Now that the bet is set, Leo grabs a practice sword and dives right into the sparring session. He tries to strike her with his unexpectedly impressive speed, but she easily outmaneuvers him. However, she can't help but notice that his speed is actually quite concerningly good. However, Celia is sure that this won't be enough for him to win. As they both charge at each other again, Leo lands a brutally heavy strike, and the sheer strength behind it overwhelms her. She quickly steps back as the force becomes too much to handle, and when Leo's sword collides with the ground, it shatters instantly. But he doesn't stop there. He charges at her once more. The once arrogant lady is already starting to regret challenging Leo, and she's certain she can't possibly block the incoming strike. So she braces herself and takes the hit head-on. But, to everyone's surprise, she didn't take any damage, because she had used an aura armor in the last moments, even though this wasn't part of the spar, because this spar was purely meant to be about swordsmanship. This arrogant piece of work doesn't own up to the fact that she couldn't dodge his attack. Instead, she makes an excuse, claiming it was just a reflex. But Leo declares that he's already won, and it doesn't matter. Of course, this leaves her in disbelief, as she's not ready to hand him the victory that easily. Leo had expected this, so he throws off the magic weight bracelets he was wearing to hold off his physical strength. In the next hit, he literally shatters her barrier, leaving the girl completely boggled. Meanwhile, Leo shows her no mercy and gives her a taste of his full strength. Later in the courtyard, as Leo walks around, he stumbles across his mother, who promptly introduces him to his uncle Zeiss. Leo quickly bows his head to pay his respects, and Zeiss reciprocates, introducing himself as well. The two gentlemen then shake hands. His mother then asks if he's met Celia yet, to which Leo recalls how she had fainted after their battle due to fear. Before Leo can explain to her what happened, a knight approaches Zeiss with a report regarding the lady. Zeiss is fascinated to learn that Leo defeated Celia with a body that hasn't even learned aura yet. He personally expresses his admiration for Leo, saying it's nothing short of impressive. But Leo claims that she just underestimated him. Zeiss then questions what Celia lost in the bet, to which Leo happily responds that the loser was supposed to become the servant of the winner. So basically, Celia is his maid for the next week. As much as Zeiss dislikes this idea, he understands the importance of keeping one's word. Still, he makes it clear that Celia is from the Zerdinger house, so he can't, and in exchange, he offers to personally reward our boy with something far more valuable. But Leo refuses the offer right away. He lets his uncle know that this was a wager between Celia and him, and as long as she retains the Zerdinger name, she needs to take responsibility. The uncle then questions him if he's also willing to let go of the opportunity to learn the Zerdinger's aura breathing method. Leo once again responds with a sassy jab. He believes that an aura breathing method given with the objective of preventing a niece from being humiliated holds no value in being learned. Since Zeiss has no other way around this predicament, he decides to get a little offensive. He questions the boy directly, reminding him that he just declared he would use the direct lineage of the Zerdingers as a servant, and that the Zerdinger aura breathing method is worthless. Leo remains unhinged and unafraid of the consequences about to surround him, simply claiming that what his uncle just said is indeed true. Out of the blue, Uncle's mood softens, and he politely questions our boy if he does not think that what he just declared is impudent and impolite. Leo once again makes it clear that he had no intention of insulting the Zerdingers. He claims that if he were being given the aura breathing technique as a reward for defeating Celia, he would have gladly accepted it. However, he has no intention of accepting it as a bribe just so she can escape the consequences of her loss. You see, if his uncle doesn't want to recognize Celia's defeat, it means they believe she is better than him and simply lost the duel by mistake. But Leo makes it clear that even if Celia had sparred against him in earnest, he still would have won. This leaves Leo's mother even prouder. Her brother is equally fascinated to hear such judgment from Leo. The fact that this kid rejected the offer because he didn't like the way his uncle behaved only highlights how outstanding a child he is. He wishes that a child like this were a Zerdinger. Zeiss then gestures to his knights and orders them to send Celia to the maid's quarters. He turns to Leo and grants him the right to address his uncle without any honorary titles. After that short conversation, Leo parts ways, and Zeiss turns to his elder sister, proudly telling her that once he gets back home, he'll make sure to convince their elder brother so they can teach